The world of art, a sanctuary for human expression, has transcended its role as mere canvas and sculpture. It has become a vault of opulence, a sanctuary for wealth where strokes of genius are woven into the tapestry of prosperity. In this enigmatic realm, fortunes rise and fall with the stroke of a brush, where the creation of beauty conceals a darker narrative, a tale of power, politics, and preservation. Join us on a journey deep into the world of art as a store of wealth, where secrets are traded like masterpieces, and where the value of art goes far beyond its aesthetic allure. Prepare to explore the shadows of ambition and a canvas that holds more than just color.
I'm happy to say that we're back with much nicer audio.
Yeah, hopefully you guys can notice a difference. We received your feedback, and we're investing into
Very vigorous feedback from some viewers.
But it's okay. We live and we learn. So going forward, everything should be much more cleaned up. But yeah, Dave, tell them what we have planned for today.
We have a lot of stuff planned for today. So we're going to do a bit of a triathlon. So to speak. You guys are going to receive videos in 3 parts. We're just doing a couple of deep dives into things that we find interesting, things that we researched. This episode is going to focus on art specifically and how it's used to store wealth.
Yeah.
So it's
both historically and in modern times. Exactly.
Art is one of the least regulated industries after drugs and I think prostitution in some areas. Not to say that art is a bad thing. We think art is beautiful. We have a great appreciation for it.
Right.
However, there is a side of art that it takes away from the beauty of it, and it becomes a more of an asset.
Yes, an investment.
Yeah.
And that's really what we want to focus on. Art, like we mentioned, is not used as an investment, is not necessarily a super duper new thing. The Medici family was for those of you that don't know, was a very wealthy and powerful family that ruled Florence from the early 1500s. They, back then, used to commission plenty of artists to do work for them. And there it was used kind of as a status symbol. You know, if you went into a very wealthy person's home, you would expect to see luxurious works of art from very famous individuals. Nowadays, we have the ultra high net worth individuals that are buying up a lot of the art. And I don't know, what do you think about just buying like art, not because necessarily you think it looks beautiful, but just because you know it's going to go up? We have the Andy Warhols of the world who their art is basically, the rate of return on it is outperforming a lot of the global markets. S&P 500s. I think their rate of return is like 23% per year. Painting up.
I think it makes sense because look, coming out of COVID, we have a lot of emerging markets with new billionaires in the United States, but also we have a new Chinese billionaires, new Indian billionaires. Mm-hmm. With wealth, come new homes. When you get a new home, you want to stock it up with nice art. It makes sense because if you're going to buy something beautiful, why not make it an investment at the same time? Especially when it's so enticing. If you're going to put something up on your wall, it's a way to hold money, and it's also very. I think the best way to explain it is value dense.
Right.
Because look, if you have $12 million to put somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. If you want to put it into a house, that's huge. You want to put it into a boat, a car, these are large things. You could put it into a tiny painting and it's very concealed.
Yeah. Agreed. The thing with art is, I'm not sure how many of the pieces are necessarily being put up just because they're so beautiful to look at least in my opinion. Like when I look at a lot of the modern art and it just looks like splashes of paint on a canvas, to me that doesn't really mean anything, but to them it's almost a status symbol. Like I said before, when somebody comes into your home, they might not even know what the painting is, but they'll just assume like, wow, this is probably a super exclusive piece of art that they obtained. But yeah, like you said, it's a pretty compact compared to some other things. And also a car, for example, isn't going to keep maintaining its value as time goes on.
Right.
Whereas art, we know, actually becomes more valuable the longer that it's in your possession. Although I'm sure that there are other expenses that come with it too, like when it comes to the maintenance, probably storing it in a very clean and safe environment so it doesn't get damaged.
And you mentioned high net worth individuals. Yeah. As we see these rising rates of returns, and there's a website I know that even trades shares of paintings as if it were a stock. in a company. It's called Masterworks. That's what it's called. So you could buy like a 10% stake in a painting and watch its value go up. But the point I'm trying to make here is that as the prices of these paintings rise, so does their accessibility decreases. So the people who really do value art outside of what it is as an asset, it becomes inaccessible. Kind of how we saw pretty, further off. But in London, we had golden visas, and you had a lot of foreign investors coming in, investing. They would get their visa, but it would raise the prices of real estate to make it inaccessible to people who live there.
Right.
So I feel like that's a relevant fear for art today.
Yeah, I think we're almost past the point of no return when it comes to the accessibility. Art now for regular people, like middle class, even, I don't know, anything other than the super high tier of net worth, it does not really make sense to put your money into it. Just, you can't afford it. The valuable pieces of art that's going to gain you the most benefits, and the people who really know how to take advantage of the luxury pieces of art are the ones who know how to use it for tax benefits. Just like there's a lot of loopholes that come with art. And like I said, high net worth individuals, those are the ones who are buying up most of the pieces now, and those are the ones who I know, for example,
the high-end pieces, there is still like an entry-level art market.
Right, but I mean, it's just very hard to break into. The high-end pieces are really where people are getting the best bang for their buck in their investments. And there are a lot of methods that they can do, like, for example, if you want to sell a piece of your art to somebody else, and the art that you're getting back is of a similar value, basically. What I'm trying to say is you can sell a piece of art that you have, then use that money to buy a new piece of art, and you end up like not paying taxes on your profits, something like that.
Interesting. And you could probably, if it's purchased at a charity, is that a write-off? If it's purchased for charity?
Yes. I think there's a lot of write-offs that come with art.
And I know, for example, Sotheby's, right, a very well-known auction house, they'll let you take out a line of credit, so basically a loan against the collection that you have,
Yeah.
And that's really taking it away from, is it really just art, or is it now a financial instrument?
I mean, it can be both, obviously. And these collections, like, just to put it into perspective, these can be hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
These collections, like, this is massive amounts of money that we're dealing with. But I think it's interesting to talk about. I was reading up on some cases where there are basically wealthy people will hire these like art managers who are going to go and basically scout out good prices for art and help them build up their own collections. And there's actually a lot of exploitation that goes on within that industry, because what ends up happening is, let's say I'm working for you and I'm helping you build your collection of Picassos. If I find something for 17 million, right, I might then buy it and then sell it to you basically for 20 million, like tell you that's how much it costs and keep the difference. And it's very hard for them to go back and track you. Like, there's been a ton of like fraud.
Because it's so unregulated.
Exactly. Like, it's very hard to give a standard price for a work of art because it's so subjective.
And a lot of times collectors don't even see paintings. There's a place in Switzerland, Geneva Freeport, that stores hundreds and hundreds of paintings that are worth, insane amounts, and, temperature controlled, fireproof, all that stuff. But it's almost like, people complain about real estate, how there's the wealthier classes buying up properties, driving up price for everyone else, and they don't even live there. They either rent it out or they just keep it as an asset. We have that here in New York on West 57th Street. It's the same thing with the paintings. A lot of people are upset now because instead of, having them up in museums, people buy them and then they hide them. They purchase them just as a financial asset, and then they don't even make it out they just stay in private collections. They don't even make it out into museums.
Right. And when they do want to sell it, then they make the resale on the gray market.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And that's like a whole nother world of new loopholes. So, yeah. And so now I kind of want to bring this to what's going on right now in the world of art, a super, I guess, new and popular trend that is almost dying out nowadays is NFTs. And I mean, should I explain what that is?
Wait, why do you say it's dying out?
Well, honestly, a lot of the major NFTs that people were buying like pre-pandemic, or I mean, actually during the pandemic was when it was really popular. A lot of those have drastically fallen in price.
So they lost their value.
Yes, like there are pieces that have been sold for like tens of millions of dollars and are now like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But Dave, I don't understand I'm not an NFT guy. How do you not just take a screenshot and reproduce the NFT?
That's not really how it works. Like, it's basically each NFT has its own kind of, I don't know, like space in the blockchain associated with it. You can't, it's not the kind of thing where you just repost it. Like, everything that's on the blockchain is super traceable. So you can very easily trace it back to where it was created.
But isn't it a visual asset?
Well, it's not physical. It would sit in like your online collection.
But I'm saying, let's say, for example, I purchased an NFT of a bathing, what are they called? The apes?
Yeah, bathing ape. Right?
Exactly.
Whatever it's called.
And then it's just a picture of the monkey.
Yeah.
Can I just screenshot that?
Well, nothing is stopping you from screenshotting, but you won't get any value from it.
And it's not resellable at that point.
No, I mean, that's like, it's the same as saying, can't I just buy like a knockoff version of Gucci shoes or something?
But still, to me, the thing with NFTs, you still have the same value in the screenshot as you would as saying, oh, I own it in the blockchain.
So the thing is, and this is my major problem with a lot of NFTs, and this is why a ton of them have fallen off in terms of their price, is the ones that are not connected to an actual physical
Work of art.
Not just work of art, but they're NFTs. Now I'm not even talking about art. I'm just talking about NFTs in general. A lot of them, for example, you can buy an NFT that will in turn give you a physical item, like a ticket to get into an event, for example. You can use it in that sense, like like an invitation to a boat party or something. Like there are NFTs that work like that are basically just used, I guess, in the same way that you would scan a QR code, something like that, to get into an event. If you show them that you have the NFT and they know for sure that it's unique and only you have it, then you can, get into these exclusive places. Or for example, if you own a Rolex, I think you can get an NFT of your Rolex and it shows that it's
really,
that I'm like the only individual owner. The idea, I think, a while back before, and like the vision that people had with NFTs, was it cuts out a lot of middlemen. So if you want to, for example, I don't know, I was talking about Rolexes. Let's say you want to sell your Rolex to someone else, instead of going through like a dealer or like something like that.
To verify it.
Yeah, to verify it. If you have the original NFT that represents the Rolex, you can like transfer it to them, to the person who you're selling it to, and then give them the watch. And then that's basically all the authentication that they would need.
Interesting.
That was the theoretical idea behind it.
I never thought of NFTs as a tool. You know, I was thinking more of it as just generating a bubble, because it's not, if it's an intangible asset and it's not connected to a physical object, then it does just spiral out of control.
That's the problem with NFTs. That's why we already saw that bubble kind of burst. And a lot of it is also just fueled purely by hype. So I'll draw the example. I don't remember the name of the NFT, but you probably remember, like when Gary Vee was promoting a ton of NFT collections.
Oh, weren't they little animals?
Yeah, I mean, the name isn't what really matters, but there were a ton of influencers. I think even you can actually, let me ask you what you think about this. So Gary Vee, during the pandemic, he basically made a conference call with himself leading it, and then there were like probably 100 other influencers, like the most popular YouTubers in the world, like
Mr. Beast,
Logan Paul, all of these guys, and he basically told them, guys, this is the future, this particular collection. All of you should invest in it, yada, 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 right? And obviously, they have a certain amount of trust for Gary Vee. He's proven to be very smart at forecasting things.
I know he did a lot of things with playing cards.
Yeah. So they trusted him, they bought them, and then now it's all in their individual interest to keep promoting that same NFT collection since they're now an owner. And what ends up happening is, if you hear 100 super popular YouTubers all talking about, oh, I'm invested in this, like you guys should buy it, whatever, that creates a huge bubble that spirals.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what's dangerous about it. Did it lose value, that collection?
I believe so. I believe it lost a lot of value. But the thing is, again, like it wasn't really an accessible thing that I wouldn't call it like a scam. Like a scam is something we see a lot in crypto, where you just pump up coins that are worth like 1 penny, and it's super easy for anybody watching to or hearing about it to put in their money into. These pieces were in the millions of dollars range, hundreds of thousands. So it's already for a very exclusive audience. But that's just NFTs in general. And I mean, we've kind of identified the problem with it not being connected to a physical asset. But what we're dealing with in the world of art with NFTs is essentially, it's not connected to a painting. It's just like you said, something you can screenshot. And the problem that I have with it is because of that, the people buying it, I really don't think there's any part of them that's thinking, oh, I think that this looks...
That cares about the art.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think this is a beautiful work of art. I want to buy this so I can print it out at home and frame it or something. Like, it's used, I think, purely as an investment.
But look, the NFT can also be a way to tap into a more expensive painting. You know, if you can't afford the entire painting, but you still want to have something to, you know, make a few dollars off the value of the painting, right? You could purchase an NFT, like I was saying with, I just forgot the name again. Market share, market, exactly, yeah. So you could have an NFT associated with the painting, and then that makes the more expensive painting more accessible, you know? For someone who doesn't care about the, you know, the way it looks.
That's an idea for how an NFT might be used. But what we see in practice is artists actually love NFTs, by the way. Because now artists don't need to sell their work to galleries. You just buy it directly from them.
With an NFT?
Yes. You just, and I'm not talking about physical paintings right now. I'm talking about just the JPEG that they sell. So yeah, for them, it's great. Artists love it because now they can make their digital art. Whoever is interested can just buy it directly from them, and they get to keep all the profits. But yeah, again, the problem is it's used when people are buying something not because they like it or because whatever they think it's beautiful, whatever. I mean, I guess those two go hand in hand. When they're just buying it because they think it's going to go up in value, that's like the biggest foundation for a bubble.
Right.
Because the second that you need to cash out, like basically there's no attachment that you have to it. Like if people aren't going to hold on to it because they like it and they're just going to sell it whenever they need cash, then the second, that's why when the recession started, or I mean, I don't know if the government wants to call it a recession or not, but when the market went into a downturn, the first thing that people started doing was, oh, I need money, I'm going to sell my NFTs.
But you know what's interesting? You mentioned recessions. The art market, I know, is very detached from macroeconomic conditions. So even if, for example, we go into some sort of economic downturn, the art market doesn't necessarily feel that right away.
Right. You know why I think that is? I think with the art market, with physical art, a lot of the paintings that we're talking about, the Picassos, the Andy Warhols, the Da Vinci's, I don't know, whatever the case may be, those are already so exclusive to get that you have to be so wealthy in order to even...
That you don't care about how the market
Exactly.
is.
Like you...
Oh, okay.
That's why... who's the guy who became like the richest man in the world? I think he was the owner of...
Bernard Arnault?
Yeah. What did he own?
He owns LVMH, Louis Vuitton, a lot of luxury brands.
So when the market started doing bad, he's the guy who rose to prominence, and I don't know if he still is. For a time, he was the richest man in the world. The reason behind that is the people who are buying luxury goods, the Louis Vuittons of the world, they don't care if the market is down right now. They're already loaded. Like they're gonna buy it just because whatever they want it. Like, it really doesn't affect the market for that the same way it doesn't affect the market for a Picasso. With NFT art, if we're talking about things that are trading in like the few thousands of dollars range, it really affects them. Because a lot of them are just regular people. Like even people in high school and in college, like a lot of them were trying their hand at trading NFTs. And you definitely can make money from it, but you're not gonna wanna buy it when you need cash, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like if you're looking to hold on to your cash because the market isn't doing well, or for example, if you're the owner of one and you wanna sell it, that's when it starts to lose a lot of value. Because there's nothing bringing you back to it.
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Art has always been such a connection between different socioeconomic classes, you know?
Yeah.
We had, like you mentioned, the Medicis in the beginning. Artists they weren't wealthy people, you know? So they had to pay to commission these projects in order to have that sense of, splendor. And now we have, again, the price of art rising. Yeah, I know in New York specifically, there's a lot of, investments into making art more accessible. So we have, sculptures outside. We have the Metropolitan Museum. Yeah, exactly. So it's not as much for the upper class as it was before. It is more accessible, which is amazing. That being said, there is still this, upper echelon of art.
Agreed. And that's something I don't think will ever change. We talked about this in the beginning. Art is just going to keep going up and up and up in value. Like, the more time that goes on, the more valuable a Picasso painting will be. That's the truth. But yeah, I mean, I think we've done a great job with museums in the city and even around the world where you can access pieces from, legendary artists for just a small entry fee. And I think we can both agree art is something beautiful. Art is something that has been respected and has definitely stood the test of time.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this piece of art that we made. And stay tuned for the next 2 episodes in our triathlon. A lot of exciting stuff coming up. We're going to be traveling the world at many thousands of miles per hour.
Sorry.
We're going to
Breaking
be...
the sound barrier.
Yeah. And then later on, we'll be on fire. So,
All right, guys. Thank you.
thank you.